Hello, Royal Affairs family. This is Roy,
And I'm Yolanda.
and we're your guides in Royal Affairs, where we show you affairs done right.
So we have been tackling some pretty big questions over the course of the last year, but now we're going to tackle even more questions. And one of the questions that has come up is, can you find meaning or growth after infidelity?
Good question. Really good question.
So I think that definitely, well, you know what? First of all, why don't we say thank you guys so much for joining us today. If you are new to this channel is all about helping couples to find love and trust again through travel. And we share our story on infidelity and how with therapy, with prayer, with our village and travel, how we are using that to just truly rebuild, reconnect, and rekindle our love.
Indeed.
Right. So if this resonates with you, thank you so much. Stick around. So it's kind of hard or challenging to find meaning or growth when you're in pain.
Correct.
Right. So
Correct.
I think one of the first things you have to do is tell yourself, and my mom says this often, like, okay, what's the lesson? What's the lesson? I'm like, I'm hurt. I'm hurt. How am I going to think about what the lesson is? But when you begin to maybe shift it and then ask, okay, is there something that I can be learning from this experience? It doesn't necessarily mean that the pain is going to be less severe.
Right.
It just maybe it will give you a different perspective, a different lens to look at. So we're going to talk about 4 ways that you can find meaning or growth after infidelity. And so what's the first way?
And you already kind of touched on it. The first one is just reflecting on the lessons learned. So infidelity is probably not the thing that you want to do in order to grow, but in the event that happens to be your story or a major breach of trust, what can you do from a growth perspective to allow you to come out better on the other side? And Yolanda just touched on it as well. The ability to just reflect on what are some of those lessons learned, because partly whatever happened that led to the infidelity or the affair, there's something there that's broken or misaligned or not where it needs to be. So how do you kind of look back and say, well, where are some areas that I may need to repair? So for me personally, one of the things I needed to do was to really look closely at where do I need to get affection from. Affection outside of my marriage is not the right place. Lesson learned, where did it lead me to? Almost costing me my marriage, my family, and a whole lot of other things as well. So how can you look back on that and say, lesson learned for me was the affection that I need in God's way is the affection from my wife and the affirmation from my wife. So looking back at that, you can say, well, what went wrong and what are some of those lessons learned?
Right. And then so it's not only the lessons that you've learned. So it's okay. So now that it's okay, baby girl, this is what went wrong. This is what I need from you. Then it's incumbent upon me to not blow up and say, well, that's just too bad. Right. But I was honest and say, hey, this is, giving affirmations. That's new to me. However, when I look at it, it's like, oh, well, you were a cheerleader. So that's all you're doing. You're cheering, someone on. So for me, then it became, okay, babe, I hear what you're saying. Be patient with me as I navigate through, I'm no longer, cheering for a basketball or a football team as I did in, elementary and high school. Now I am rooting for you, my husband. So I got to take that same energy and then just translate it and do it in a different way. So, you did a great job with, getting the kids, getting the kids off to bed. Thanks for making sure that they, had their snack while I was doing XYZ, just some things like that. So it was a learning process for me as well. And then again, the big thing is just making sure that whenever that conversation is had about, okay, this is what happened, well, this is what went wrong, this is what's lacking, this is what I need, then just not to blow up.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's not a blame game when you're looking back and identifying what went wrong and where communication and emotional needs were unmet. Now, there may have been roles that each partner played, but that's not the opportunity to say, well, because you did this happened. You want to identify what behaviors went wrong, and hopefully through the course of counseling and therapy, you're able to kind of navigate through that, because the two of you were involved in the situation, in the marriage or in the relationship. So where can we identify those areas where we need to kind of reflect and take some lessons learned?
Yeah,
moving on from there.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was also going to say, and it's not as if like it didn't happen overnight. Like we
Correct.
didn't,
Correct.
we didn't get to this. There's things that we can learn and grow from this. We didn't get to that like overnight.
Right.
It took counseling, weeks of counseling and therapy to get to the place of, okay, let's look at this through a different lens now.
Yeah.
So it wasn't, so if that is where you are, please don't become discouraged because you guys are just having a conversation, you just found out, and now what's the lesson? Like, give yourself time to give yourself time to grieve, give yourself time to heal, and that is a part of the healing process of learning what that lesson was.
Yep, absolutely.
And then another thing is to focus on your personal.
Number two,
focus on your personal and relationship growth. So it's important to not only grow together as a couple, but it's also important to grow together, individually as well. So you want to.
You mean I need to grow as an individual?
Yes, babe.
Oh, okay. I think I can do that.
So you want to set goals for improving communication, trust, and intimacy to create that stronger foundation for the future. And so where it relates to, because so often it's okay, well, what do you do as a couple? What do you do as a couple? What do you do as a couple?
Mm-hmm.
And that is important. Please hear me. That is definitely important. Yet it's as important to make sure that you are focusing on those personal things. So again, for me, it's, well, acknowledging I don't know necessarily how to give affirmations. Okay, let me learn how to give affirmations. Let me practice this. Let me make a habit of doing it. And then also, what are some things that I can focus on personally to grow? And then it was not, and we're going to be talking about this in some other videos, but not comparing yourself to the affair accomplice. And I say affair accomplice because there is no partnership in that. But for me, it was, okay, how do I grow? So then I can't compare myself. So then I need to look at what strengths I have. And Roy has never, he's never said, well, she got this going on and she got this going on and that's never been the case. Nevertheless, as someone who has been betrayed, your mind automatically goes to, well, what did she have that I didn't have? Or what did he have where I didn't have? What did she do? Any of those things like that. So you want to make sure that you are focusing on that personal growth. And that is just going back to, hey, you know what? You're an attractive person. You're this, all of these. All of those things that you already know to be true, but just somehow because of this newfound information, and the tendency is to no longer believe those things are true.
Yeah, and the idea of taking it personally. So there were some things that Yolanda looked at in me, I also needed to focus on my own personal and relationship growth. So the idea of setting goals for how you can improve communication and trust and emotional intimacy, one of the bigger things for me was what used to work in the past, or what was once a large deposit in the past, may no longer be a huge deposit. So the things that I needed to do, I had to up my game, up my energy level, up my consistency. So what did that take? That took me kind of looking on the inside and saying, well, in order for our relationship to be better, Roy, there's some things that you can grow in. You can, diminish some of your pride. Like, I'm a man, I don't have to tell her anything about what I'm doing. I'm a man, I can have codes on my phone where she can't see what I'm doing. So there may be some things that you have to kind of put aside and say, well, as a man, if I don't have anything to hide, here's my phone, baby girl. Here's the code. Like, what? So there is some room for individual growth, and there has to be some focus individually. And you may even find in your therapy or counseling sessions that the two of you come together, and there may be opportunities for individual counseling, or an individual book that you read, or a devotional that you commit to, a group of guys or women that you connect with to help to foster your growth. So I think that's part and parcel to finding meaning or growth after infidelity.
All right, and then I would just follow that up with another thing with when it comes to focusing on the personal. Sometimes, unfortunately, when you get into a relationship, you lose your individuality. Right, so you're no longer, or in my case, you're no longer Yolanda, or you're no longer, baby girl or whatever. You are mommy. You are this. Wife. You are, school teacher, the cook, whatever it is that you are in your family. So you lose your own individuality, and so focusing on personal growth just is taking, and can also be, and for me, it's just taking a step back to remember who you are and remember who you were. Like, go rediscover yourself. I love, me and our youngers were talking about hobbies. And so I told her that I absolutely positively love to read. Like, I love to read. And I told her, I said, but you know what? I haven't read as much as I like to. And she said, why? And I said, because I will read a book in one day. And she was like, so I will read a book in a day. And if I'm reading a book in a day, then nothing else is getting done. But I say that to say that it's okay to go back and rediscover yourself. Go back and, rediscover your hobbies. Do those things that brought you joy as an individual. Right. So that you can be, a whole individual and happy and things like that. So just going back to, and not only just rediscovering yourself, but maybe you want to pick up a new hobby. Maybe there's something that you've just been wanting to try, you've been wanting to do, and you've been fearful about doing it. Why not allow this opportunity to go back, to go out and try something new?
Indeed.
Our oldest daughter, she is already doing pole classes, and I told her, I was like, oh, you know what? I want to do that. So she's like, come on, mommy, come on. So just focusing on you and yourself. Does that make sense? Me, myself, and I. Focusing on what you can do as an individual to grow and to rediscover, who you are, who you were, to try some new things, because that's definitely going to push you in the right direction. And maybe you would not have been motivated to do that had not an unfortunate event that you can learn from and grow from. So then it becomes, what's the word? It's something that you can grow from. I'm not going to say the event is positive. Right. The outcome can be positive.
Right. So we're talking about 4 ways to find meaning or growth after infidelity. We talked about the first one, reflecting on your lessons learned. Number 2, focus on personal and relationship growth. Yep. Personal relationship growth. And number 3 is discover new opportunities for connection.
But we're going to talk about that next week. So you guys make sure to come back
and tune in for more amazing context. So go ahead and hit the like button and make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss any of our amazing content that'll be coming up. And we look forward to seeing you next time. I'm Roy.
And I'm Yolanda. And also, maybe you've come across this channel and it's not for you, but maybe it's your good friend or your cousin or your aunt, your mama, your daddy, whatever. Then go ahead and share this with them too, because we are endeavoring to help as many people as we can with our story.
Yep. So with that, I'm Roy.
I'm Yolanda.
And we're your guys in Royal Affairs, where we show you
Affairs done right. See you guys next time.
See you next time.